Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. This video is next.js and Tailwind CSS episode 4. Just for remember, these episodes are all independent, so you can start from each episode you want and watch the episode video. But if you are new to next.js and Tailwind CSS, I highly recommend you to watch the playlist from start. I try to create this playlist very useful and general, so each section of the codes can be reused on a lot of your projects. And in this episode, we will create a new component and a page for it. Our component is a container that allows its content to scroll horizontally. Then we will implement two interesting real-world examples with it. The first one is Instagram stories, and also we implement YouTube categories, and you can see it. If you like this video, hit the like button, leave a comment for me and tell me your opinion. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you would receive the notification about my new videos. Are you ready? So let's go. You can see the repository of this series, and the address of this repository is in the video description. Let's continue like the previous episode. I will copy the address of this repository, and in drive F, I open a new terminal or a command prompt and git clone this address. This is it. Let's open our project with VS Code. And in first step, we need to create a new branch for this episode. So for remember, we created V1, episode 2, and episode 3. So for this episode, which is episode 4, we need to create a new branch. And I say that create a new branch from. Here, for selecting a ref to create the branch from, I choose episode 2, episode 3, which is this one. And I say this is episode 4. That's it. So now I'm on episode 4. Let's open a new terminal and say npm I to install our node module packages. That's it. Then I say npm run dev to run my project on a development. Okay, so it will be open on localhost port 3000, and like our previous episodes, let's have both editor and the browser. So let's go to this address. I will follow the link, and on localhost port 3000, I will open my project. So this is it. This is our project, and it is refreshing yet. Okay, so I want to create a new page for this episode, and I want to create a page in the complex menu. So for each page, we said that we have sub menu. So let's do this. We can simply copy paste the top one and change it. So let's go to the components and main layout. Here we use the main sidebar and we make it a new component. So we need to go to this main sidebar, which is in layout sections, and in main sidebar, let's go here, and this is close. The next one is home. After that, we have projects, and then we have singular. So we want to use this structure, and it is like the bottom, just we need to change some of them. So let's copy paste that. Let's press enter here. I want to copy this singular here, so copy paste. Now you can see that I have two singular, and I don't want this anymore, so I will say that this complex is here. So then the new li would have all of the classes, but the first thing is its icon. This icon must be this, so we say that it must be for double check, and the next thing is complex, so good, and function right is okay. Then we have this ul, and that's it. So we don't need this li anymore. We delete it and this extra spaces. So I created with a copy paste. You can see that I created it so easily. So now I have this complex, and inside of this complex, I want to have a new submenu. So for the name, I say this is a horizontal scroll bar. This is it. And for its href, I say that this is going to slash complex slash horizontal scroll bar. And this is the road to my new page. So you can see that this is not a good idea for this name. So we can use HO scroll bar. I think, yeah, this is better. By the way, you can increase the width of your sidebar. You can do anything you want. And also you can decrease its right. You can see that this is, let me show you here. In UL, we have margin left of 8. For example, you can use margin left of 4 if you want. But I don't want this. So it's up to you. You can use any configuration you want for these classes. So if I click on this whole scroll bar, I'm going to its address. You can see that I'm going to slash complex slash horizontal scroll bar, and now it is a not found page. No problem. Let's create this. So inside of my app, I create a new folder. Let's copy the name from here. So it would be quick. So let's copy complex. Inside of app, I create a new directory with complex. And the next route is horizontal scroll bar. Let's copy. And inside of complex, I create a new folder with this name. And inside of it, I create a page.jsx. And here I simply say RAFCE. So this is my horizontal scroll bar page. You can see it. Let's copy some classes from here. For example, I want to use this same structure we speak about. You can see that structure here on GitHub repository. Here on the preferred classes for different pages, you can use these classes. I copy that. Here I paste it. So for my new page, I will use again these classes, bgy, rounded lg, mg4, and that's it. And for the name, let's say that horizontal scroll bar page. This is the name of my page. That's it. Let's format document. And inside of it, I will Ctrl Z. Okay, inside of this division, I create an H1 and I say that horizontal scroll bar format document. So let's wait for it. Okay, now we created our new page. Let's go back to the home. Okay, this is my home page, and now I have a new in complex. I have a new submenu of whole scroll bar. This is my page, and inside this page, I want to create a reusable component. So just for your remember, when we had planned to create this select box, we went to singular select box, and inside of it we created a component folder and created our component in it. But that component wasn't a general and reusable component. This time we want to create a component that we can reuse it on so many places. So for this purpose, you can also use that component inside of this horizontal scroll bar, but this is not a good idea. When you are going to create something general, it is better to have a place for it in general components folder, which is this one. So in this component, I create a new folder and I say ho or horizontal scroll bar. That's it. Inside of it, I create a new component and I say this is a horizontal scroll bar .jsx. So this is my component, and I simply say RAFCE. So I created my new component, and inside of it, I create an H1 with this. So for my document, and inside of my page, I say, let's close this to see the results. Okay, in horizontal scroll bar, I simply use a BR to have some space. Then I import my horizontal scroll bar from component horizontal scroll bar. That's it. You can see that it is imported. And now I have my component and I can use it. This is it. So let's go to the horizontal scroll bar and work on it. So here we want to have a container that receives some content and renders them. So let's create some contents for it. For example, const of items equals to array of, let's say, or you know what, let's have simpler solution for this. So inside of this division, you can see that I have horizontal scroll bar, but I say that this h1 can have a class name of, let's say, bg of green 500 and padding 2 and margin 2. That's it. Okay, so let's and also let's have a rounded of xl to be better. Oops. Rounded of xl or lg or any size you want. So let's copy it multiple times. That's it. I'm just copy pasting it. Okay, now I have a lot of them. So I want this component to be scrollable, yeah? So for its parent, which is this class name, for this division, sorry, I simply can use a flex, okay? So when you are using flex, you know that we are using flex row, and it is working okay, but you can see that I have an overflow, so this is not so good. We need to handle this overflow. So how we can do this? It is too easy. We can simply say that overflow of, you know that we have overflow of x and y. We can handle all of them on Tailwind. So I say overflow. For overflow, I have auto, hidden, clip, visible, scroll, and x and y, and a lot of them. So for overflow of x, we can say hidden. You can see that it would be hidden, but I don't want it. I want it to be auto. So now I have a scroll bar. Now you can see that it is scrolling, and that's so good. And if you use the scroll for it, it is okay. It's working also. But let me show you. If you comment these and you just use two items, you can see that when you are using a scroll, you have its scroll space, and this is not good. So if you use the auto, it is much more general in my opinion. No, we don't need it. And if, let's go here and uncomment these, so if you have a lot of items, the scroll bar will appear. That's so good. And this is also, let's have some different classes for them. For example, I can say that for align items, you can be center, and we can have a gap or a space of x of 2, and we can have a padding of 4 or 6 or 2 or anything you want. I use padding 4 for this division, and in order to see it, we can use also a border. So I can say that you have a border of gray, border of gray of 300, and we need to say that what is your border width. So I say border of 2 is for you, and you can see that it is working and you don't have any problem. That's so good. So also we have a padding for it, and that's it. So what else we can do for it? We can use a margin of 4, okay, or margin, I think margin x, oh, margin x of 2 or 4 is good, or margin y, sorry, margin y is better. So this is it, and I think for now it is good. So what we can do else, now you can see that I have everything on it. And this was for its children. But this is not a dynamic component. We want it to be dynamic. So we can pass the children from its parent, and this horizontal scrollable component doesn't aware of its children. It just renders them. So let's delete all of these from here, all of this, and receive them from the children. Okay, so I say children. you will receiving children, and then you have this division, and inside of this division you will render your children. Okay, this is it. And now we can pass the children as a prop to it. So let's go here to the place we are calling this horizontal scroll bar, and this time let's call it like this, so we can pass it some children. For example, division of test, okay, with class name of, let's say, border 2 and border blue of 400, padding 2 and margin 2. So this is one division. Let's copy them. Okay, if you copy them, you can see that this time this is dynamic. You can see that this horizontal scroll bar is just rendering these children in it. This is so good. So this is reusable. You can see that we can pass the children to it and use it. So I think this is the first part. Let's delete these and speak about the next part. So we want to have a place like the YouTube categories. So let's go to the ChatGPT. Okay, we say that give me 30 YouTube categories to see what is the categories. Okay, typo here, but I think it's not a problem. So this is it. Let's copy these categories from here and go back to our VS Code. So I want to create an array for this. So let's say that first of all, let's go to the horizontal to the page. Okay, here we want to pass them to my component. So let's create a new array for them. So const of categories equals to these items. Okay, but this item needs to be a string. So let's make them a string quickly. In fact, it is too easy in VS Code. Let me show you. You know that in VS Code we can use multiple cursors. So my cursor is on the first of this line on gaming. So I want to select all of this line. So I can say Control Alt, and I will press Control Alt and press the bottom key from the keyboard, so you can see that I'm selecting all of them like this. No, we have error. So let's do it again. Okay. Now I selected all of them with pressing Ctrl Alt and the button key of my keyboard. So I selected all of them. I want to make them to a string. So I say double quotation. And by the way, now we are writing on multiple cursors. So let's press the end of my keyboard. So I'm on the end of my line and press every character you want. You can see that with this system, you can do it so easy. Let me show you again. So if you are asking what was this, if it's your first time, it can be confusing. I know that. Control Z, Control Z. Okay. So I have a lot of items here. You know that they are all strings, and I want them to change them to an array of strings. So I want to select all of them. I go to the start of this line, the first line, and I want to select all of the starting lines. I can simply press Ctrl Alt and then press the down button of my keyboard. You can see that using this I'm selecting all of these lines. So good. And now I selected all of them, I can write. So I say this and then I press the end button on my keyboard and I write everything I want. That's it. So let's say for my document, now I have a categories array. You can see it. I have categories. So Let's render these categories inside of this horizontal scroll bar. So I don't need ChatGPT anymore. Let's go here and inside of this horizontal scroll bar, let's minimize these categories. Okay, here I say that for the categories dot map, I'm receiving for everything, I'm receiving an item and an index. And for each one, I want to render a division with a key of index. Okay, this is it. And inside of this index, I want to have an h1 with the item. Let's format document. This is it. So you can see that it is here, and let's have some classes so we can see it better. So I can class name of border 2, border blue 400, and padding of 1. Okay, format document. You can use any classes you want. Now you can see it. But you can see that this is not so good, and something is happening and they have a different height. This is happening because we are using flex, and everything, you know that when we are using flex, we have the basis and shrink and grow, and they are changing the width based on the other sections and other elements. So we can avoid these weird things by simply using, for this division, we can say that if we use shrink 0, this can be avoided. So you can see that nothing is shrinking, and now it is working completely true. That's so good. So let's change it a little. So I say your border is 1 and it is a gray. Now you can see it, gray of 200. Okay, no, I think border 2 was good. So I have this, border 2 and a rounded of x large or LG or x large, or LG is better, I think. Yeah, that's it. And I say on, sorry, on hover, we write hover like this. We can say that your BG or your border can be, what is for now, it is a border gray of 200. You can see that border of gray of 400. Okay, now you can see that it is working and it is so good. And also you can use cursor of pointer. That's it. So this was for the first one, and you can see that now we implemented it. And if you go to the mobile, you can see that also on mobile it's working correctly, and that's so good. So this was for the first one. And also we can have something like the Instagram story. So let's do this. We have the structure, we just need to implement them. So let's create another item. So I say const users is a new array, but because we don't have the real data, we want to create a fake data for them, we can use this new array. We can simply create a new array of, let's say, I want to have 20 users, and I fill this array with 0, so I can map on them. So now I can say that map on the item, and also I receive an index for each one. So we can simply say that for each item, you can create a new object. So here we can say that return an object, and in this object I have an ID, and my ID is index, and I have a username for them. And what is my username? Username is, let's say that u sharp, and also we can use this index. So let's make this dynamic, and for the usernames you can use u sharp and this index. And also let's have an image for them. So for image, you know that when we are working on a dummy data, we can grab something from the internet. So let's go here and type for pre-avatar. There are this site that allows us to use dummy data. So you can see that I can use this. This gives me a random user avatar. You can see that I'm refreshing and I'm receiving some random image. So good. So I copied that address. So for the image, I can say that, okay, what is going on here? Okay, this is it. So for the image, I can say that this is it. So in these users, I created some data. Let's go here and let's check this data. So inside of my component, I say console.log my users, and let's check this log. So this is a server component, not the user component. So we need to check its data here in our server console. You can see them. And if you want this to be a, let me show you here in the console. Okay, refresh. Okay, you cannot see that console because this is a server component. If you want to work it as a client component, you saw on our previous episode, you can simply say use client. That's it. No, this is a client component and I have access to console here. No, it must, you can see that I can show them. So this is it and I want to show them. Yeah. So let's do this. Let's say that I have an H1 here. So I say that YouTube categories. This is it. So this is my YouTube categories. Class name of text blue 800 and text of 2x large. Okay, this is my YouTube categories. And also, let's copy this and here let's have some BR again. And after this, we say in Instagram stories, this is it. So in order to doing this, let's again create this horizontal scroll bar component and render these users. So let's do this. We say that for users.map, okay, we receive an item. We don't want index because we have ID. So for each item, I want to render a division, okay? And inside of this division, I want to have an image tag with its source can be item.image, and for alt we can use the item.username. That's it. I don't want anything else. This is just a tutorial example, but you can add anything you want in it. So this is it. And now you can see that if I don't use this horizontal scroll bar, this is my data. You can see that it is exactly the same one. So we need to change these images to be random. And here, because we are calling one image, it is not random. So let's change this and here make this dynamic one. And inside of this pre-avatar, it says that you can use some different IDs. For example, after this, you can use this. So let's copy this URL from there. So this is the URL, and we just need to have some dynamic parts for the ID. Okay, so this is it, i.parameter.cc/150/image is. So this needs to be dynamic. Let's make it dynamic using some simple classes of JavaScript. So we say that math.random, this will generate a random number and multiply it by 15. So this is it. This will create a new random, but let's use, okay, we need to round it. So let's use math.round, or that seal is better, or floor or seal is better, in order to be sure that it is going to the top or to the bottom. So math.seal of math.random multiply 15. Let's check it again, refresh. Now you can see that I'm receiving some, Okay, I'm receiving some random images. Okay, and this is it. So let's show them again inside of my component. Okay, you can see that something weird is happening and they are going to a so simple image. Why this is happening? Because when we are using flex, we have the shrink and we speak about that here. So we have shrink and grow. So here also the shrink is happening. So we can simply disable it by using, let's use a class name of shrink 0. Now you can see that shrink is disabled. If you want to have the shrink, you can simply do nothing. But if you want to have your custom classes, you can simply use shrink of 0. For example, I use shrink because I want to have full control on my divisions. And for my image, I can use class name of, let's say, width of 18 and height of 18. This is it. No, let's use 14. It is better. Okay, it is much more better. And also, we can have a rounded of full. So good, yes. No, it is so good. And okay, let's have some classes like cursor of pointer. And on focus, let's have what do we have? We have the border. We change the border, but here for the focus, you can change, for example, the size. So I think the scale, yes, scale is work here. So we can use a scale of 120 on hover. So focus on hover. Okay, now you can see it. This is so good. We can have transition for it. This is better. So let's have some transition of all and a duration of 200. This is it. No, it is much more better, isn't it? Now you can have the border, you can have padding, margin, or anything you want, and it is working correctly. So I think this is so good for now. And also we can have another full customization feature for it. So we can say that, do you want to have the scroll bar or not? So let me show you that when you are on the, let's go to the mobile. Okay, when you're on mobile devices, you can see that by touching, you can scroll on this, and this is horizontal scrolling. Okay, and also it. So on mobile, you don't need this, and this is it. And also on Windows, you can press Shift and scroll with your mouse, and it will scroll horizontally. So we can avoid this scroll bar, and we can simply do this using props. So how we can do this and we can customize this? Let me show you. We can simply receive another prop from this. And we can say that you can also, like the children, you can receive a scroll bar as your prop. And you can say that your default value is true. So if we don't pass anything to this horizontal scroll bar, the scroll bar would be true as default. And then we can change these classes. So let's press enter here to see the classes. Okay, then we can say that these classes can be dynamic. Okay, so you are familiar with dynamic classes, so let's cut them and make this to a curly brace backtick. Now this is dynamic and we can work on it. So we say that use the dollar sign and a curly brace to accept the JavaScript, and we say that based on your scroll bar. So if a scroll bar is true, have some classes, else another classes. So we say that if you have a scroll bar, you can have a scroll bar, else you can have a scroll bar of none. And for doing this, we need to have another plugin for Tailwind. So let's go here. We need Tailwind scroll bar. Let's check it. So Tailwind scroll bar is the npm package we need, and we can install it using this command npm install --save dev Tailwind scroll bar. So Ctrl C, npm install dash dash save dev, so it is installing. And it says that in order to working, you need to add it to the plugin. So let's copy this line and go to Tailwind config. Inside of this plugins, let's paste it for my document. So everything is good. And this is the Tailwind config we needed. So this was it. It is still installing. We need to wait for it. And in the meanwhile, let's continue and check what we have. So it says that you can use this scroll bar to access to custom scroll bar. Then you can use a scroll thumb and a scroll track and anything you want. This is so good. And also you can use a scroll bar and a scroll bar theme and a scroll bar none. So this is it. Okay, it's installed. Let's say npm run dev. That's it. So let's go to our next.js and close this. So now we have access to that because we added it to our config. So for a scroll bar, if it is not true, it will come here. So we can say that a scroll bar of none. This is it. So if we don't pass, if we say a scroll bar is false, it would be none. Else, if the scroll bar is true, we can use the scroll bar theme. Okay, let's format document. This is it. So this is my dynamic part. And if a scroll bar is true, we say that a scroll bar theme, else a scroll bar none. Let's refresh to see if it is working or not. So we know that when we don't pass a scroll bar, it would be true as default. Okay, so far, so good. So let's go here and check. We said that your scroll bar is true, so what happened here? Refresh. Okay, so if we don't use this scroll bar theme, what happened? We have the scroll bar, and if we say that for the first one, we say that if you can see that now it is recognized as a parameter. If we say a scroll bar is false, okay, it would not be shown, but this one is shown because the default value is true. So good. So for here, we can use the scroll bar theme, and I write it true. Okay, yes, and we have the thumb and track. So for a scroll bar thumb, you can use any classes you want. For example, I want to use a slate of 400. That's it. And also, you can see it. And for the track, I can use the scroll bar track and any color you want, like the slate of 200. That's it. Okay, now it's working. So we changed this to a dynamic version. Now you can see that I have this beautiful scroll bar here, and also in the mobile it is exactly like this, and it is not the default of the browser. So this is it. Now we have fully control on this scroll bar, and in our page, if we say that the scroll bar is true, here the scroll bar will be shown, and also if you don't pass the scroll bar to it, the default value is true, so you can change this default to anything you want. So on default it is true, and this is it. It is working. You can use any color you want. Let's say, for example, you can use blue and any color. Also, you can customize all of them. Now you have the idea of it, so you can receive them as the props and render them dynamically. So this is it, but I think the slate was better. Refresh and let's test it. So in this episode, we created this whole scroll bar page. You can see that slash complex slash horizontal scroll bar, and we created these. Now you can see that we have access to them, and this is it. And also you can hover on them, and also you can click on them, open a new page. So this is just the component, and now you have the idea of implementing them as what you want. So this was for this episode. If you like this video and the episode 4, please hit the like button and leave a comment for me. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a good time and goodbye.